Want to bet?
Then get in on the action at Sports Interaction.
The Boys of Summers are back on the diamond and March Madness is on deck.
Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets.
Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out.
Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN.
Or in Ontario, download the app now using the QR code at the bottom of the screen.
19 plus, please play responsibly.
She scores!
Take a moment to look up at the ceiling. You're about to bust through it.
SDPN, the PWHPA, and Sports Interaction
Want to bet?
presents hockey like you've never heard it before. The Knoxy and Kax Show with Liz Knox and Karell Allport.
Let's get it. Go.
Welcome back, hockey fans. You're listening to the Knoxy and Kax Show in partnership with the PWHPA on SDPN. We have former Team Canada and World Tour snowboarder, competitive CrossFit athlete, lifelong creator, and entrepreneur. She's joining us today, pro snowboarder turned pro CrossFit athlete, and now you're here with two of the fittest on earth, I would say. Welcome to the pod, Natalie Allport.
Thanks for having me. Like I said, I listened to almost every single episode, so I'm stoked.
I love it. I love it. You made my day when you said it. And then obviously we are not the fittest on earth, but we thought we could give ourselves a little bit of a shout out. Knoxy is she trains all day every day, so you're probably getting there. You're a firefighter, you know.
I dabbled in CrossFit a little bit. I say I still do, but not anywhere close to what Natalie can do. Before we get to all that, I did want to shout out big news at SDPN because we have a new home, Kax. We've seen the pictures, and hopefully maybe one day we can be there together.
I'd love to.
And the guys had their first pod there yesterday. Setup looks sick, so if you haven't checked that out, go to SDPN and stay tuned for an in-person Knoxy and Kax show. We have yet to do it, but
I'd love one. Studio 3 would be my vibe. I don't know about you, but yeah.
Studio 3 is very let's sit down and have a coffee or maybe a beer. And chit chat. Yeah. Natalie can come. We'll all be there.
Our guests would love it, I think. Yes. Come grab a drink with Knoxy and Kax. I think it sounds great. I think it should be a little bit of a segment, maybe.
Yes, I agree.
Cocktail hour.
Yeah.
Cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
5 à 7, per se.
Maybe cocktail with a K. Cocktail with Knoxy and Kax.
Whoa. Are we branding here?
This is too much. It's way too much.
Natalie can help us out. Give us a follow.
And of course, we can't go through news without talking about March Madness.
Absolutely.
You guys were just talking about the games. Natalie, who's your team?
Oh my God. Watching Caitlin Clark, it's generational talent. It's insane. The other game I was mind blown. I was literally in my room by myself, talking to myself, this is crazy.
I said 40 points, but what was it? 40 double? I don't even know the basketball terms, guys.
Triple double. Yeah.
Triple double.
Yeah.
It's sick. It's she controlled the entire game is what, I felt like.
She's hype and she talks with the crowd. I really love watching it. I think it's so good.
Adding a little personality and flair to the women's NCAA basketball. That tournament continues. And we also have news coming out of Hockey Canada. Kax and I were talking to our friend Cass Campbell the other day. And Hockey Canada subtly announced, I don't know why this wasn't blown up all over every headline, but Gina Kingsbury and Marin Hickox have both been promoted to VP roles at Hockey Canada.
Exactly.
And previous to this, a VP role has never been occupied by a female. And now we got two. So good on you, Hockey Canada. Steps in the right direction. And I know that those two have, they've got a great head on their shoulders to lead the charge for women and girls hockey at Hockey Canada. Now let's talk about.
That was perfect. But congrats, Gina. Yes, this is awesome and well deserved.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now we got to move on to talking about more Nat's space. CrossFit. So the CrossFit Open, is done. Okay, for those who aren't CrossFitters, because if you just said CrossFit Open to me 10 years ago, I may not know. Explain how these things work, Nat, going from the open to quarters and so forth.
Yeah, well, it's also confusing for us CrossFitters because it changes every year. Slightly
I was going to say, it seems to be different too. So
yeah. So like this was my first open back because I tore my rotator cuff a few years ago, just before the pandemic hit. So this was like a good test for me. But the open has been like the one consistent, at least. Like the open and the games. But then between that, things have like changed. So I'll walk through like the open is, I think at its peak, it had like 400,000 registrants, like maybe in 2018. And then like in the pandemic, there's a little bit less because a lot of gyms were closed and it's been building back. But I think at least like 300,000 people like do the open. So everybody does the open. Like if my mom did CrossFit, she probably would get convinced to do the open. But like also if you want to go to the CrossFit Games and like be the fittest on earth, you also have to do the open. So everybody does the open. It used to be 5 weeks of tests. So they'd release a workout like on a Thursday night and then you have until like Monday night to submit your score. You have to have like a judge and like film and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you do it in your gyms. It's like a community event. Everyone at the gym gets together. It's like super fun. Like people are competing against their friends. People get really, really intense. I think actually like the people who want to like qualify further are less intense than just like the recreational people who want to beat like their neighbor or like whatever that is. So it's an intense time for gym owners, especially having to deal with those dynamics. But yeah, now it's 3 weeks. So they like shortened it, but same thing. Like you get a workout released on Thursday and you have till Monday. So you can technically, some people do like 2 attempts at the workout if they want to like get a feel for it, have a new strategy, or just one and done. And then you wait like a week or 2, and then you find out if you make quarterfinals, and they have individual quarterfinals. That was a week and a bit ago. Yeah. And that's like, it mimics an in-person competition in the sense that they release the workouts and you have like 24-hour windows to complete them. So you have like 5 workouts over 3 days kind of. And so you don't really have the chance to like redo them like you do in the open. So you kind of try to structure it like it was an in-person competition. And then same thing, like you have to like film everything and have a certified judge and all that stuff. And the top 10% of people in the world from the open make it to quarterfinals. And then from there, they have different like amount of people per region, but there's like, I think 6 regions in the world maybe. So there's like Europe, Asia, North America West, North America East, South America, Australia, and then the top few people make it to semifinals. And then from there, like the top, depending on your region, like top 2 to like 12 people make it to the CrossFit Games from those competitions. So that's like the new structure. Like the structure, it changes. Like the year that I hurt my rotator cuff, they changed it entirely. And then this structure is like more how they had in the past.
Right.
But that year, I didn't even have to do the open because they kind of like, you could do the open, but you didn't have to. They had individual like events all around the world. So I did a competition in the UK, a competition in China, you qualify individually to those ones. And then if you win those, you go to the games. So it was a weird,
because that was the year that like Prevo didn't qualify for something for, I don't remember. She like had done it somewhere and then it didn't count towards something. I don't know.
So she had to do the opens.
Like maybe it was with the pandemic or like something got canceled or like, there was like backfill spots. Like it was super weird. It was like if someone did qualify from the open, but they won this event, then it went to like the second place. And like, there was such weird, that was, they changed things, but now I think they're on a more consistent
And they changed to the regions, no? Because at first, way back was like Canada was kind of on its own. Now it's like North America East and West. And
North America East is the hardest region in the world.
I was going to say everyone is in it. Like, wow, from the top CrossFitters to and that's tough. They should really do the quarter thingy. Split them.
Yeah,
Canada, US, and then split them in the half again.
And based on that, it's like they go from the open, which is like everyone can do it. Like take your time, do it twice, and then the quarter's like, do this or die. Like
it's like much, and then 2 days. And then there's 20 of you that are super good in your region and should be classified, but only 6 can come.
Right?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, it's really
that's exaggerating, but like I feel that's like your region is almost like could limit you a little bit,
Yeah, for sure. I would say like this year is probably like the hardest year just to make semifinals. And then I also forgot to mention there's team quarterfinals and team. Yeah.
Right.
So we didn't.
We would crush it at teams, Knoxy.
Yeah, team is this week. This week, I think, is the team qualifiers.
Yeah, like if Kax and I could enter as a team in the singles competition, like we would crush that deadlift.
Just split the abs. You know what? That's my least favorite.
We spot each other on the chest bar.
Pushing each other up.
I think it's great. I think it's a great setup. I think that whoever evaluates us or judge us would agree that those are fair and square reps. And
we have half a brain each, and so we count as one person. It's easy.
But you know, in team events, they do that. They do double deadlift, and I hate it. It's the worst. Like,
I've never seen that.
Really?
When I was competing on a team in the UK in 2019, and it was me and this guy. So they load up his side with, I don't know, like 4 plates or something, and mine with like 3. And like, if you're like, we have different sized torsos and different sized legs, so you're lifting kind of like at different times, and so like it's a good way to blow out your back. I don't really like the double partner deadlifts like that.
That's tough.
It's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. My
Never
goodness.
even thought of that, but that makes sense. You're right.
Cool. Well, we will get into a little bit more about your journey through CrossFit later in the episode. Before we get into telling us more about where you came from, Nat.
Okay, wait, before you go.
Oh, just kidding.
I just want to give 2 shout outs because, and then I guess we can do it, but CrossFit Canadian athletes made it through. And then our good friends from the PWHPA, Karell Frenchie. Frenchie. So congrats. And then Freya also made it. And she's 20 or 21 years old too.
Yeah, she's
very
really
young
good.
athlete.
Just
and from BC and is training here in Montreal at Deck Comp with Michel Letendre.
Yeah.
And also Le Vestiaire. So shout out to Manu and Karim. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to people that are close to the PWHPA and the hockey world, and then also CrossFitters. So we train with the gyms Le Vestiaire here in Montreal. So
we had Menu on our podcast last season. So yes, thank you, Kax. I meant to mention those guys. No, that's great. That's great. We want to give those guys a shout out and wish them good luck as the CrossFit Games continue. And we did want to just also shout out our friends playing on the Toronto Six who just won the Isabel Cup. So close to me, Taylor Woods, Brittany Howard, want to give them a shout out and a big congratulations to that team. Now, Nat, tell us about your childhood and your family, where you grew up. Let's get a backstory behind the social media influencer that you are today.
We want to get to know you today, Nat. So let's go.
Okay. I actually like grew up until I was like 5 on the West Coast, which it's funny because I turned out to be a snowboarder after I moved to the East Coast. I always was kicking my parents. Like I was like, why did we move away from Vancouver? Like I was so close to the mountains, and now I ended up having to like learn how to snowboard in my townhouse backyard instead of the mountain. But yeah, we lived there until I was like 5, and then we actually lived in New Jersey for 2 years, which was super random, and then we came up to the Ottawa area and basically have like lived there ever since. My mom is from Venezuela and my dad is Canadian. And she came here knowing no English or knowing nothing about snow. So
I was going to say.
Yeah, I went when I was 13 to visit like her family in Venezuela and like meet cousins and things like that. And like trying to explain snowboarding to them, especially when my Spanish isn't the best, was just such an adventure.
Sliding on hard water.
I was like, you guys know surfing? Like, they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, like imagine like on snow, and I was like trying to show pictures, and they thought it was like the craziest thing they've ever seen. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so then we moved up here to Ottawa, and that's when I started playing hockey. My dad grew up playing hockey and football, so yeah, I loved I grew up like literally like sleeping with my hockey stick, like writing English things at school like about hockey. My whole life, like growing up, was literally hockey. I was obsessed with hockey until I found snowboarding. And
you said, I'm going for the board.
No, it was a really hard decision. I think I was like maybe 11 or something. And then I had to decide, right? Like with competitive hockey, you're playing like most days. You don't have time to snowboard. I think my first 2 snowboard seasons, I went twice in the whole year.
I was going to say,
eventually I broke my dad's heart choosing snowboarding, especially because I wasn't good at it. And then of course, like hockey has a college track, you know, like I had all these goals in hockey. He loves hockey. He loves watching hockey. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, you're just like, you're not even good at this sport. You're switching. And I was like, no, but I just really like it. And so,
good supportive parents, you know what? Go ahead, honey. You're going to have fun. We're going to support you, basically.
yeah, so that was quite an adventure. But yeah, that's kind of led me into like starting snowboarding. But yeah, basically grew up like just in love with hockey.
Love it.
What position did you play?
I was going to ask.
Yeah, center mostly because I don't know positions. Like I played like a few years ago I was playing like summer beer league, but there was like some really good players, like a lot of like players who came home from the States for the summer. And they were like trying to put me on the wing, and I was like, no, I would find myself on the other side of the ice because I just didn't have like enough time learning positional play. So I was like, please just put me back to center because I just gonna chase wherever the puck goes, and I don't know like how to actually just
I don't need to be anywhere else but to skate around and take the puck away. Yeah. I mean, that's
so
fair.
Classic. That's how every centerman I feel like finds that position, or they're the coach's kid for some reason. It's like the two things. Like you're gonna score the most goals at center.
Yeah, there's such a They assume they score more goals, and they also assume they get just like face-offs is a big thing too, right? Oh, I want to win them, and then but it's like push it to yourself when you're a kid. Anyways, push it to yourself, and then you can start with the puck right away or something.
Exactly.
So. If you can skate ahead of the herd, like you're in good hands, right?
It's the cutest thing.
So that's so you weren't actually that good at snowboarding then in the beginning.
I want to hear more about that because right now the videos are not lying. You're crushing it and doing a bunch of stuff I wouldn't even think or get myself to be courageous enough to do. So how did it start and why? Like what made you fall in love, I guess, with snowboarding too? Like you tried once or how?
Yeah, well, I did like start skiing like really young. Like when I was in Vancouver, we did get on skis at like 2 years old. I was also on skates like super young. That was like the two things my dad like pushed us on, getting on the ice and like getting on the snow. But then I just saw like all the kids at my school were snowboarding, and I was like, they were like, oh, snowboarding is cooler. And I was like, okay. And I also was into skateboarding. I got into skateboarding, I think when I was like in New Jersey. So I was like, okay, let's like combine these. So one day I traded my rental skis in for a snowboard, and I thought I'd be really good. So I went up like the bunny hill with this kid who was on my brother's hockey team. His older brother was an instructor, and he's like, oh, like he happened to be at the hill at the same time. He's like, I'll come up with you. And I just like tumbled, humbled down, like immediately humbled. But then I don't know, I like went home and like spent the year just watching like snowboard movies, watching like, I don't know if anyone's seen, but it's called MVP, Most Valuable Primate.
Yes,
like that,
yes, I've seen it. I've seen that one.
Movie.
He has a skateboard one and a snowboard one, isn't there?
Yeah. Those were my favorite.
God.
And then, I don't know what it was, but watching like the kid snowboard down and like, I guess they were in Colorado in the movie. For some reason, I was like, I want that to be my life. Like, I just want to like snowboard every day. And so then I don't know, we had to do like a project in school about what we want to be. And we had to like tell a classmate and they had to write about it. And I was like, I want to be a pro snowboarder. And then everyone at in my class was like, but you suck. Like, you're so bad.
Oh no.
And I was like, I don't know, but it's something about it. Like, I just really want to do this. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it was a challenge because like a lot of other sports kind of came just like more naturally. And then for some reason, like, there was just something about it that like, even though it didn't come naturally, I like wanted to be good at it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So then I just like, after that was like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Okay. So you spent the year watching movies, favorite movies of all time and everything about snowboard. Then the following year or that season, even after like the try, whatever, tumbling down the hill, how did it go? Did you take like classes or courses, whatever it's called? And then, sorry for my knowledge. I have zero knowledge on snowboarding, so I apologize. Although I do some, or I wonder, like, how do you, like, what's the season like? Like, you go every day? Like, what's like when you become a competitive, athlete such as yours?
Well, yeah, like when I decided I wanted to snowboard, I guess my like school had like a ski and snowboard club. So I would go like the weeknights and stuff like that. I don't know. I like to learn things the hard way. So I'm like, no, I'm not hiring a coach. Like, I'm just going to figure this out. But my dad, he actually they would ditch me. So like my family all skied and they'd say like, you're snowboarding, you're too slow. Like you scrape all the snow off the hill. And they're like, so we'll see you at the end of the day. And so it was like kind of like my goal to like, be able to like keep up with them and everything. But then my dad would actually like follow like snowboard lessons and like secretly like listen to whatever they were saying and then come back to me and be like, hey, I heard like this drill. I saw them do this. Like, you should try it. So he was like,
just out there hijacking drills.
Literally. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that really helped actually. Like he was like showing me things so that I didn't have to pay for the lessons, but I kind of got them for free.
Hey, that's a fact of sports, man. It's expensive no matter like, I mean, obviously we're hockey players. We know how expensive sport is. So like, hey, he's being resourceful. He's not,
exactly.
It's free information.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I really appreciated that. I think at the time though, I was annoyed. I was like, stop telling me what to do, but like, but I'll do it. Okay.
Teenage years.
Yeah. So then it just kind of took off from there. And then like I started doing like smaller competitions, like locally, like really small. Like I was learning at like a really small hill. And then because I wanted to snowboard all the time, I was like, how can I get my parents to drive me? So I got a job as an instructor at the hill.
Nice.
So I did that for a few years with my brother too. My younger brother, he became a ski instructor. So then we got to be at the hill all the time. And my parents were like, oh, you're making money. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I actually got in trouble with the hill one year because I kept canceling lessons because I just wanted to practice. So they just see me like in the terrain park or like leaving to go to competitions and stuff. And they're like, you're not taking enough like lessons. And I was like, oh, just let me be. But
so you were getting paid to train before they even knew that was a thing to pay you to train.
That was smart, Natalie. You were like cheating. Well, not cheating the system. You were actually taking advantage of the system. I like it.
Yeah. And I even got like, my freestyle, like my freestyle course, so I could coach like the kids in the train park. So even more time getting to practice. So it was good.
Sick.
Yeah. So wait, okay, because I'm like when I say amateur, I mean like I don't snowboard. Okay, so at what point do you transition from like just carving your way down the hill to like, oh, I'm just gonna hit this rail or half pipe or jump? Like that's I mean, you're also young, so I was young once, and like you're like fearless. But what was that like for you the first time that you went into like a park?
Yeah. Well, like my brother and I were like kind of crazy kids. Like we grew up, we have like a 80-year-old like family, like log cabin. And in the summer, it was just us. Like we didn't go to summer hockey camp. We didn't see our friends in the summer. Like we would just like try to keep ourselves busy. So we would build bike jumps. We would like make up like crazy sports. We'd be doing flips off the dock. Like we just made up all the craziest stuff. So I think it was like pretty natural to just only want to go in the park and do tricks. So yeah, I just like, I don't know. I can't
Different
even
mindset, Knoxy. Not everybody has got that one.
But actually, like we would have got along great as young kids because I was the exact same. Like if I didn't go to like the hospital once a summer for like just breaking something or skidding my shin or something, like it wasn't summer. Like I failed the summer if I didn't do that.
I love it. I love
exactly.
It.
I feel the same way. Yeah. But we also, what we would do is I think the first jump I hit actually was at a toboggan hill. Like we would just go and like build like jumps, with a shovel, like just near our house and then go and do that. Cause we would see like other kids doing that. So I think that was actually my first jumps and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we would take like the bike racks and make them into rails.
Yeah.
We would do that.
Flip them over and then
I got my grandpa to weld me some snowboard rails. And skateboard rails. So he like made me rails and then I would go down, like we had like a 4-step, I wouldn't say balcony, but just like steps out of the door in like my parents' townhouse backyard. And like, luckily they didn't fence in the backyard. So we kind of got like all the like common space. And I just built like this little rail and this little jump. And then I would just spend all my time just trying to like learn stuff. And then when I got to the mountain, then it like, the jumps were so much bigger, but I tried to like take what I learned and apply it there.
That's awesome.
So cool.
Resourceful again.
Yeah. I was going to say, you had the people to help you out too. This is awesome. Mm-hmm. That's sick. This is funny. We might have had all three of us, similar youth, I guess. I built some skate park stuff, which weren't like safe at all. And I don't know how I didn't get hurt more than it's just a plywood going in the perpendicular to the ground basically, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect, and I'm kicking it and going, and I'm just like, I feel like we destroyed so many of their plants in the backyard doing like just shoveling snow in their steps and then going down and trying to do 360s or 180s in the baby little snow and just hitting that tree every time or whatever it was. So this is where it starts. Like you play ball hockey outside, you build up some kind of jump in the backyard because it's not fun enough to just bike on a flat ground or skateboard on flat grounds or anything. This is funny.
Like when for us, like when we were like learning how to skateboard, or like my friend had like stunt blades, it was like you wanted to land on the grass first to know that you would land on your feet or like land on the right side of the board. So that's like the grass is just shredded by the end of the day, like just full of holes. Like our poor parents are probably like, oh gosh, what is happening? Yeah, but it was better than landing on concrete the wrong way the first time. So that's how you learn.
True.
So obviously you started in hockey, you found your way into snowboarding. How did CrossFit make its way into your life?
Yeah. Well, so I think it was like I was 17 when I got on the junior national team for snowboarding, and my parents were like, just they knew all the injuries that came with the sport. They'd seen my injuries. Like by that time I'd already like broken wrist, broken my tailbone, like just a lot of different things. And they're like, what could we, help prevent? So like even like in younger years, they put my brother and I into trampolining. So we built air awareness, know how to fall. That was super important. Cool. And then so then they're like, okay, we need to get you into like the gym. Like you need to get strong and like prevent like the ACL tears, like all these different things. So they actually ended up, my dad like knew the coach, I think of, was it Ottawa or Carleton? It was either Ottawa or Carleton U Hockey. And he like messaged her, and she had a strength and conditioning coach that was a student that she recommended. And she was also taking her master's in sports psych. So my dad literally like picked her up like and dropped both of us off for dinner. And I was like such a shy kid. So I just like got dropped off with this girl to like see if she would be a good like coach for dinner, and it was just so awkward. But anyways, then we ended up like working with her in the gym like I don't know 3 times a week or something like that during the off season, and just trying to learn about the gym, get stronger. It's funny because I always say if she could see me now, like I was a totally different person, because back then I was like 1, super shy, but 2, also goofing off all the time. So I didn't even like know what I was squatting. I didn't pay attention. Like I was just like making jokes. And now I'm like so into training. So it's just really a full 360. But then what happened was she like after that season, she like graduated and moved away. So I asked her if she could send me all my programs and I could like learn about it. So she sent me my programs, and then I tried to like modify them and like learn all about like how to actually program and like do stuff like that. And I actually in that time, I think I got injured and I took like my personal training course, and just to learn more. Like I was super interested in like the human body and like how to train, how to prevent injuries and all that stuff. So then, got really into training. And then another thing was like a lot of my teammates, I realized, just had a lot more resources. They were able to like train year round. They went to Australia, New Zealand in the summer, and like I couldn't afford to do that. I had to like have a summer job. Yeah. So I was like, where can I get any advantage? So I was like, okay, going to the gym, getting stronger, like trying to stay a little bit healthier. Of course, there's like broken bones and things you can't prevent, but like I never tore my knee. Like those are things I'm like super proud of so far, knock
on wood.
Definitely knock on wood. I don't think there's cartilage left in there, but that's okay. Problem for 20 years from now, or maybe sooner. But like I just got super into like the whole training aspect. And then I had a friend who was a pro skier. Her like now husband, he was doing like some sort of like coaching course, and he's like, can I like program for you and do all your strength stuff? And he was also like a CrossFit athlete, so he like programmed all my stuff. I got like super strong in that season, and then he said, I want you to like come into the gym and like learn Olympic weightlifting and things like that. And so as I started like coming, he would just started making me do CrossFit with him and his other like they were like really high level, like now it's semifinals, but back then it was called regional, so they were really good. And the owner of the gym was a games athlete. And so he didn't even teach me any of the movements. He's like, jump into this like 30-minute workout with us with like toe to bar and muscle ups and this. I was like, okay. And it was like
live and learn has been a theme of your life. I feel like
definitely learned a lot of things the hard way. But then I took to it like pretty fast. Like I always loved like gym class in school. Like I was like the person weirdly excited about doing the beep test for some reason. Now maybe not so much, but I was a weird child.
Okay.
So then he just like threw me into these workouts, and then I started like progressing and learning things pretty quickly. And he was like, I think you could compete in this. And I was like, well, like I have snowboarding, so I kind of so I like kept up my like CrossFit training when I was like at the National Team Training Center and like traveling and whatnot. And I was always just like trying to train like full season rather than take the winter off strength training. And then when I decided that I wanted to like walk away from my snowboard career at the time and like retire from the national team, I was like, I still have so much energy. Like I want to be an athlete. Like they said I could be really good at this. So I just like spent all my time at the gym instead of like snowboarding 8 hours a day. I was like, let me just like live at the gym. So that's how I got into it.
How old were you when that happened? Like when you retired?
22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still
21,
young.
22. I just want to go back to this. Snowboarding for 8 hours. I mean, I do 4 and I'm dying. Okay. I'm not like, whatever. It is what it is. We're not athletes, but like, so during this 8-hour day, and then we'll go to CrossFit, promise. But you hit like big air, you hit everything. Like you fall down, you get back up and try it again, and you're not scared. Like these are things that I'm just like, I would be scared. Like I did a couple rails here and there, and one went wrong, and I was like, oh, I'm not doing this. And like, no, I'm not falling on my back once. Like
you're not like stopping at the chalet for 3 hours, like having a few beers and
like
some hot
we do.
dogs.
Like when I say 4 hours, there's an hour and a half basically of like on the slope, and the rest is like chatting and waiting in the chairlifts or whatever. Like it's 8-hour a day training. So you're in the park, and you just keep on doing the same kind of like jumps and trying tricks type of thing?
Yeah,
or?
It depends. I guess like it would depend. So yeah, like if I was just riding by myself, especially when I was younger, I don't know how I had the energy, but I was like, even if the hill was open till like night skiing, I'd be like, first chair, like last chair. Like I was just like
amazing. Yeah.
But now definitely not. Like when I go to Trauma, we roll up 10, 11 a.m. we ride. We ride until the end, but like, yeah, we take some time to chill and like, maybe take the gondola to rest for a bit or things like that. But like with national team stuff, I mean, yeah, we would spend as much time as we could training because you never know when like the weather could be bad and then you have a bunch of days off. So you try to make the most, like when the day is good, like you got to be ready and like hope you have the legs to like hold on for those days. And then if you have like a whole week that's good, sometimes you're like, please, bad weather, roll in. Because
you need a break.
Tired. Yeah. And then at national team, like jump camps, those we wouldn't ride like 8 hours because they were so exhausting. We were really lucky that we would, this was in my last season, we had some of these jump camps, but you would go up to Whistler, like stretch, do your like warm up with the trainer up in the lodge. And then we'd go to the park and we had a snowmobile. For multiple Yeah, so that was so like I always would feel bad because you'd see your friends like on the chairlift above you and they would get like 6 runs in the day and you're like 40 runs of the same jump, but you're so exhausted on those ones. So you're definitely not riding, like you're maybe doing 4 hours, but like 4 hours of just like you're never off your snowboard. You just grab the snowmobile, come back up, immediately like go try the same trick again.
Wow, that's
just
crazy.
Continuous.
And one thing I like to touch on too, like women's hockey is one thing, but like we know it's we're trying to encourage girls to get into the sport that's like a men's sport. I would assume that snowboarding is it's intimidating. Like if I show up in the park, obviously all the kids are waiting, so I'm embarrassed to go even in front of an 8 years old is my thing. But it's like boys and mostly like teenagers and stuff like that. So how did that feel? And what are you doing a little bit to kind of like not promote, but make it like a girls come and try snowboarding type of thing? Or
yeah, that was a big thing. Like I feel like I've been like unpacking some of the things like in the last few years that I learned because there were so many like small comments that I thought were normal. Like my friends like love them, some of the guys I rode with back then, but they would be like, if I put on a wig, like I would win X Games, and like they would just say like such small things. And it would like bother me, but I was like not confrontational enough then to like say anything. So and then like you go to a competition, there's obviously like way less women, the prize money is a lot less, like that was just like normal. And it's improving, like it's definitely it's getting better, but there's like a lot of like amazing women, like one Spencer O'Brien, she was like just a legend, a Canadian snowboarder, and she like advocated a lot. I remember like as I was coming up, like reading articles she wrote where they were like debating kind of like the same debate with the WNBA of like people saying like should they bring the net down or bring the rim down. Like they were doing the same thing. They're saying, should we build like a second course for the women, like with smaller jumps and things like this? And she like wrote a whole piece on like, no, like if we want to like be taken seriously and we want like, you know, crowds to show up, like we need to like have the women's event at like good times. We need to, you know, like have the same course, like, and the progression since then has been insane. Like watching, there's another amazing Canadian athlete, Lori Blouin. She used to be like,
I was just going to say, I was going to ask if you knew her. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like most national team camps, we stay together. She's awesome. Hopefully I could get to see her before the season ends. She has like a really cool backyard rail park now at her house.
I saw that too.
Everyone go check it out.
Yeah. It's like the crank brings her back up like on a rope type of thing. It's really cool, Knoxy, if you haven't seen it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really
cool.
I'll
share it. Yeah.
Libyard or something, I think, on Instagram. Yeah. It's really cool. But yeah, she's like, it's so cool to see her. She's leading the charge now. Like she was the first, one of the first to like try a triple she did a triple at X Games.
Yeah.
But she was the first to do like the cab triple underflip and landed it this year at X Games. So like the progression has been crazy. Like back then, like to win a contest, people like, I was doing like 540s and like just things like that. And like now people are doing like double corks, back to back double corks. Like it's just like.
Okay, time out. Double corks. Knoxy, what do you think it is?
I can tell you what a double cork night is in my house. That's 2 miles wide.
That sounds more fun than doing a double cork, honestly.
Can you just describe it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So a double cork is like, so like, let's say you're doing like a 540, you could spin it really flat. So like your head doesn't dip like under your snowboard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you could do it like cork where you kind of go off axis and like come back around. So then you can do like 1080s and above in a double cork fashion where you like, you kind of do like maybe 1 540 and then and you come back around and then the second 540 again. So like you double dip. So it's like you kind of like go upside down twice while you're spinning. But it's not like super gymnastic-y where it's like a full, flip spin, like, when you watch those like aerials, it doesn't look like that. It like looks really cool. And then now there's like triple corks, and now there's even on the men's side, they're doing quad corks. Yeah, they're.
Whoa. This is what it is, Knoxy.
Yeah, so she's like spinning and like flipping. Yeah, she got the whole white pit. I know. I commented about that. I like the white pit though.
I like it.
It's sick. It's like unbelievable what she does too.
It makes me
like
dizzy.
Full speed, just so you see it. Full speed. Oh, you missed it.
Oh, sorry. I was watching because you just sent me the same link. Yeah. That's crazy.
Hey guys, go follow Laurie.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, like just seeing how the progression has been. I mean, yeah, it's something like I'm trying to come back to because I think like when I left snowboarding, I just like was not in a good like mental headspace and I kind of like checked out from the industry and like everything for a while. Yeah. And then the last couple years I've just been like really back in it. Like that's what kind of like led me to like compete again for the first time in like so long this season, which I never thought I would again. But yeah,
sometimes a little break brings you back into like a different athlete with a different perspective and maybe peaking a bit later than, what it would have been like.
We have that conversation in women's hockey so much because everyone, the stereotype, especially because when you watch the men's side, is like the athletes are hitting their best at like, 21, right? So like but they've been developed in like, a major junior, like a junior league. And then they go to the NHL and it's like, yeah, okay, you've got your stud players are playing their best hockey at 21 to 25. But on the women's side, like our development starts later, like the investment in the sport starts later. So I was having a conversation the other day about Laura Stacey and like a lot of female athletes don't hit their peak. And I think, Kax, you would say the same thing. Like, I didn't hit my peak till like my mid-late 20s. Well, where I thought I was playing my best hockey.
Yeah, they say 27 to 31 or 32 is like where the women's are usually, any athletes, any sports are peaking. Like,
and I think a big part of that, like you're saying, Nat, is like the mental side of sport. Because you just like hit a maturity where you find like the balance that you need to be able to compete at that elite level, like when you need to compete there versus when you're young, you just think you have to be like balls to the wall 24/7. Like that's what's going to make me the best. And like, you do need that balance, right? So tell us about, you just said like you competed again this year. You were in Montreal.
Downtown too.
Downtown.
I think there. Epic Fest.
That was really cool. That was, it was really awesome. It was, so again, like even 2 months ago, like just like telling my friends like, no, like I would never snowboard again, or like talking about like why I left snowboarding and things like that. I was like, no, like I would never like compete again. I'm having fun riding and like riding every week with my brother and his friends and our group of friends and like just, cruising around and like doing some tricks. But I think it was like close to the end of last season, I started just like doing some tricks I hadn't done like since I like basically retired. Because I always thought like, one, I don't want to injure myself for CrossFit. I already have enough injuries. And then two, like if I'm pushing myself again, then like, why did I like leave and like retire? So I kind of like just played it safe, did like the tricks that I knew, but then it felt really good to like start like pushing it a little bit again. I mean, you're not going to see me doing double corks or triple corks or anything. Like,
I was going to say, when is that? When is that happening?
No slope style for me. No, or big air. Like, it's just not. I mean, honestly, there's just too much to catch up on, and like I also just do not want to do a double cork or a triple cork. To be honest. Like, just really don't. And but like I grew up doing rail jam, so like going like we used to have one in Ottawa. It lasted for like, I don't know, maybe even 10 years. Like I started doing it when I was like 15. And it was like right downtown, same thing. They'd close the street, it'd be packed. And like when I would go to like Junior World Champs or World Cup events, the crowds are so small because no one's coming up the mountain and paying $200 for a lift ticket to like watch an event. Like they'll stream it at home, but it's just like not a big thing versus these like street competitions. Like you have so many people, like, and it's just like the vibe is like a party and people are like yelling. And I don't know, I just really like that. Like it's just super fun, like just a really cool environment. And so when I heard about this competition, I was like, oh, like, I don't know, is it like a big thing? Like, and then I looked up like the prize money and they had equal prize money. And it was like, then I looked up what the course would be and I was like, oh no, this is like actually like a big thing. Like, this is like a really cool competition. And especially for a rail jam, like the prize money was really good. And especially, that they had equal divisions and it was like really well organized and everything. So so I just was like, okay, I think I spent like a month like deliberating. I was like with my brother, I was like, should I do this? Like, I don't know. Like I haven't like competed in so long. But like it's like looks really cool, like it would be really fun. I had a lot of fun like last year, like kind of doing some of these tricks. And then I don't know, this season 2, I've just been riding like pretty well on like rails and stuff, and just things were like clicking for some reason. So
this is riding pretty well. This is this is what it means, Knoxy, when it's riding pretty well. We're gonna post a couple in our show and stuff, but like downtown Montreal, what street was blocked? Do you know? I don't even know.
I think
Saint Denis, one of the biggest one too. All restaurants, bars, and everything. But legit, they fill it up with snow and they just, do a course there. And I meant to go. I couldn't go that weekend. I was sick and I couldn't get out. But that like is something, you're right. Like I would love to just go and see and hang out around these people and the lives. Like it's not a lifestyle, it's a vibe. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like the snowboarding, surfing
make a t-shirt
vibe.
that says that.
It's a vibe. It's not lifestyle. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I feel but it describes it best. I don't know, like when it's welcoming, when it's, we were talking about going on the park and feeling like intimidated. Like I feel like sometimes too, it's super welcoming and actually like, dude, come in, like we're gonna hang out, have a drink, whatever. We'll talk about things. It's just very it's a different lifestyle. Okay, I'll go back to that. But I don't know.
No, it totally was. Like even like I didn't really know the other like women riders until like I got there, and like everyone introduced themselves. Like everyone was super nice. Like I love that. Like now, like if I want to go like where they live, I'll definitely message them to like go ride and do some laps and things like that.
That's so cool.
Like, the energy was like good. Like the guys too. Everyone was super friendly. Like it just brought me back to like what snowboarding is. Like when I was competing with the national team, like you kind of get away from it for a while, and you're just everything is so pressured, and you're trying to qualify for the Olympics and like all these things. And then going back to this, it was like I just felt like I was like 15 again, and I was like, wow, I'm just like having a time of my life. I'm like
kid on the hill again. Yeah,
exactly. Like also just in the mindset of like, okay, no pressure. I just want to have fun, but also I like the pressure. So I was just like. I was also like having fun with just like, okay, I want to land this, like I got to land this, and like trying something. And then when it all like worked out and then I ended up like winning, I was just like super stoked. Like it was just a really cool moment because I spent so many years thinking I would just never compete again. And then to like win and everything was just like cool.
I love that. You developed like a healthy relationship with pressure and that sport, basically. Yeah. After and I feel taking like a step back.
That kind of like segues nicely into maybe some of what inspires like your social media content, because you seem to have a really good angle and perspective on, food and training and having fun. And it's, I'm from an outsider, like before I knew you, Nat, like watching your social media content, it's like, wow, this girl just like loves life and just makes the most of like, every situation. So why don't you kind of take us into this role that you found in social media and like kind of your content, what inspires it, and who you hope it reaches?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I think it comes from like having gone through the difficult times. Like the reason I left snowboarding was just because of mental health stuff. And like, it was like all the different injuries I had and never like addressing like the trauma of like falling 80 feet onto your back and things like that. Right. Like it adds this layer of like, do you want to go back up and try this trick again? I didn't realize at the time there's ways you could process that. Right. Like you could deal with that so you don't have to go through that like extra barrier, and then all like the politics with national team stuff and just like all the pressure and all those different things. And then same thing with CrossFit. Like when I started CrossFit, like people telling you like different nutrition advice and like maybe not the best advice, or seeing athletes who are like at the top level, but they're eating like just not enough. And then you think, I need to eat this too. And then a year later, like they're like, oh, I burnt out because I wasn't eating enough. And you're like, why was I following the advice of like this person? So I definitely like, I went through all those different things, like, you know, growing up, like trying to play sports with the boys and them telling me no, or like having these big dreams in sports and like just realizing like the unequal prize money and all those different things. And so now that I just like feel more confident in like using my voice, like I want to like share all those things so that one, like as an athlete with a platform, when people are like looking at my social media, I want to make sure that they're not like playing that comparison game, because I know like how I used to do that. And I just want to make sure like if I'm sharing, like I like to make like fun content too and like share the highs and stuff. But also if like I'm going through something, like recently I took a whole week off training and like it was difficult to take a week off. And I just know talking with other athletes who are scared to take a day off, or like it's going to set me back. I was like, oh, I want to like share about that because like maybe it could be helpful for someone else, or like share about the mental health stuff that I went through, because I knew back then, if I knew like other athletes had gone through mental health stuff, I wouldn't have felt so bad about it. Like I felt really guilty because I'm like traveling the world and doing these things and then feeling like I didn't want to be there. I was like, I just felt like I couldn't speak about it then. So yeah, like all these different things, I just think are like important to me to share. So that's what I try to do, is like share all the different, I guess, just the different things that I wish I could have seen, or like would have helped me, or like are helping me now, as well as just like making fun stuff and like, yeah, sharing that too.
Being balanced and stuff. I love it. This is so good. I remember watching, I think, some of your stuff, and you were talking about routine and how routine is like the most important things when it comes to training. Cause like sometimes it's like, oh, I have to go for a run. You don't feel like going for a run, but just going for something helps you kind of like keep going with your weeks and stuff. But you're also touching on like taboo, like conversations that athletes don't talk about. And you guys, like in the prime, or like you're on national teams or stuff, sometimes it's like I should feel grateful, or I'm lucky, you know, because I made it, but so many others are looking or dreaming to make it. And now I'm here and I don't feel like I'm not like feeling happy. Like why, you know? And I think that's such an important topic that we all know people and our friends that struggle with this after post-Olympics, pre-Olympics, the whole quarter like type of things, or whatever it is. And that's such a conversation that's hard to be held or shared with. So thank you for doing that, because I think it actually does kind of touch a lot of like different sports, not just the snowboarder, you know,
for sure,
of this world. And yeah, I think
the content that I like love most about your stuff is like a lot of your stuff talks about body image, and like this may shock people, but like all of us think about it. Yeah. Like every female athlete, probably every female, I could probably generalize
too
and say
muscular,
that.
less, like all of it.
Right.
All of
and
it.
like, and social media is just like flooded with these like chiseled Greek statues. And especially in the CrossFit world, like, listen, like this is like an elite group of people who like, they're just like, they're all muscle. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I'll never look like that, or I don't look like that. And like a lot of your content is like less about what you look like and more about like what your body can do. And I think for, you know, hockey players, especially, like we're very like low loaded, I will say. Like we're not, you know, like we're not divers. We're not, I don't know, swimmers. Like this is our sport. Like this is the body that helps us achieve the goals that we have. And it's a positive conversation to introduce to, as Kax is saying, like to any sport, because your body is your tool, and, you know, you kind of encompass the food that you eat, like how you look at yourself and how you spend your downtime. So it's such a positive conversation, and yeah, keep doing it. We love it. The first time I ever saw you was you were wearing a PWHPA hoodie, like riding the slopes. And I was like, Who is
We
this
all
girl?
messaged her. I
I
think we
want
all
to be
did.
her.
I was like, yo, thanks so much for repping us out. This is awesome. Like women's sports supporting like other women's and stuff. I remember the video. I'm pretty sure everyone was like, we need to message this girl. Who is she?
No, like all of the hockey players, like, why does this cool girl? Why is she wearing our hoodie? Like, she's way cooler than all of us.
No, you guys are the cool ones. I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
We'll post the video in this episode as well too, for sure. I'll send it over. But yeah, this was like the first time.
On the Secret Dream Gap tour this year, Natalie actually did some content at our tour stop in Montreal.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about kind of your angle on that one?
Yeah, that was really fun. I mean, like I said, I grew up playing hockey. So like I looked up to all the hockey players, like especially like the women on Team Canada. Like I had like their pictures on my walls. Like that's like what I wanted to do, you know? And so I think even though like I ended up in snowboarding, a lot of like my inspiration to like pursue being an athlete, and especially like to be a woman in sport came from like the women of Hockey Canada. And just like watching those games and stuff like that. And even like one time when I was younger, I got to meet some of the players. I was like such a small kid. I don't even know how old I was, probably like 8 or something. But they were, I don't know if they were practicing or like something at one of the local rinks. And I remember I got like the autograph and like put it on my wall. And I was just like super excited. So yeah, like, so just the chance to like come and hang out I was like, oh yeah, like I love like watching all the games. Like it'd be super cool. And I also love like creating content across different sports. I mean, like I said, hockey was super important to me, but also like I have a lot of friends in other sports and I'm always trying to like just like highlight what they do and like help them create content and share more of their story. Cause like, I know how like impactful it has been like to my career to share my story. And like, apart from just like the impact I've seen, but also just like professionally, like with, you know, getting brand deals and like doing different things like that like help me like continue to be an athlete. So I would love to see like more athletes across different sports be able to do that too.
Yeah. I think you're able to share like, a different perspective with your content, as I would say it. Like even for us, like when you did it, like I think you were filming like warm up, and I think Hillary was doing it, and then other players and stuff, and then like behind the scene, like, right? Yeah. What the followers or people want to see. So I appreciate that from your sports and your life, but I think they appreciated it too from our angles too for the P-Dub. Like it was cool to see that. And I think one other very cool content that I absolutely loved, and I became a follower because I took initiative after I watched you doing it. But talk to me about a bit more about training your grandma and doing these like workouts with her. I know you explain it all kind of like in your TikToks and your videos, but I thought that was so sweet. One, I absolutely loved it, and then I took the initiative to call my mom and then was doing little workouts during COVID in the morning with her. Cause I was like, man, I do this on the daily, but what is a squat for her? She doesn't even know. I'm like, Mom, sit on a chair, knees don't pass the toes, and let's try to do it together. So it brought me joy. And I'm sure that's one of the most, or the biggest reasons why you did it too, and spend time with her. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. It's like always so cool to hear like people are working out with their parents or grandparents. Like I try to explain it to her. Like she only speaks Spanish, and I do speak Spanish, but I'm not like perfectly fluent. So sometimes I have to use Translate or like get my mom to help me explain things.
So cute.
If my mom is over, like if I have my mom and my abuela together, then I try to like get her to explain things and like show her the videos and be like, look, this is like 1 million people watch this, and like just to see her face, she's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, wow,
she's
like,
a star,
Yeah. And we told her like, I was like, other people are working out like with their grandparents because like of you. And she's like, what? Oh, like that's so cool. And then she's like, do you think it will help me find a boyfriend? Yeah, she's always searching
oh, what
for
a cutie.
long lost search. But yeah, so she's just so funny. Like, just I love showing her that. But it started like she came to visit. I think I don't even know if it was like 2015 or 16 or something. Like she's lived here in Canada now for like the last like 4 years at least, but maybe even longer, actually, like five years. But she came to visit like a while ago, and she was just always making comments like about like what I was eating. Like she comes from like a Latin background. It's very like, I don't know what the word is, but like just very like, just like, like men are in charge and like, very old school, right?
Very, frick. What's the word?
Gender conforming.
Like patriarchal, maybe, or like
yeah, that works.
Patriarchal, yeah, that works.
Yeah. So she just always like make comments like things I was eating, or like all the training I was doing, like all the muscle I was gaining and things like that.
Right.
But then like as she like, so I got her to come to the gym actually with me because I just wanted to hang out with her, and I was like, okay, I have training, so like come. And then one of the owners of the gym that I was going to at the time was like, oh, your granddaughter is so strong. He spoke some Spanish, and she was like, oh, it's because of like these arepas I feed her, which is this like Venezuelan cornbread that like it just one of my favorite meals I've had like since I was a kid. And cute. So then I was like, how cool! Like she put it together, like eating all these carbs, I got really strong, and like I think like something clicked because then she also saw like how people in the gym like looked at me and like how like I was like pretty strong and like people were kind of inspired by that. And so then she was like, oh, like I want to do some workouts. So she started, this is like pre-pandemic, doing some like workouts at that CrossFit gym. They had like a seniors class. And so I would like kind of join and translate for her because she didn't know what was happening. And then I realized she was really competitive. Like she would want to win the warm up. Like she would come home and tell me she won the warm up. And I was like, the warm up was walking back and forth. She's like, yeah, but I ran. These other people didn't run. Okay, well, because it was a warm up. So yeah, and then like I've been learning more about her. Like she said, she was a captain of her basketball team growing up. I had no idea. Like I've just been like learning a ton. And so, yeah, we started like doing more activities together. Even like I'd go skateboard and she would like try to stand on my skateboard, which my parents were like, no, she's going to break all her bones.
Protect this woman.
Yeah.
Seriously, at all costs.
She's always trying to do like all these different activities with me. And she just, she always wants to like take part. So she started like, training and all that. And then with the pandemic, like I just saw how much it affected her. At the time she was living with my parents. Like now she lives in a home, but she just didn't have any social connection, especially not knowing the language. She used to have this like club with like seniors that all spoke Spanish that she would go to, but she also like she has dementia, so it's like she couldn't take the bus anymore, like to go to like because just to take a bus and make transfers and stuff, it's just like too confusing, especially when you don't know English. So like I just was like, let's get her like moving. Like she always was happier after she like moved and did stuff. And I also wanted to make sure she was independent, and I like saw the toll it took like of my parents taking care of her. So like if she can like keep moving, doing stuff on her own, that was like I just felt like it was the only way I could like help my family, I guess. So we started doing like more, training together. And then, so we did a ton of that throughout the pandemic. And then we would do FaceTimes. And then with my shoulder rehab, it was like, I would do an hour workout with her while I did my shoulder rehab. So I'd be like, hey, do these squats and like this, like on FaceTime, of course. And then I would do like my shoulder rehab. So it kind of held me accountable and gave me like something to do every day. Yeah. We did that for a while. And then now that she's like in the home, I try to like visit as much as I can and like do workouts with her there. But she also, it's amazing. She has like physios there. So they like do other stuff with her. But like whenever I come, I'm like, hey, let's like run up and down the hallway. And we just like, we have a good time like doing stuff like that and doing squats to her chair and like just keeping moving. But it's cool to see her mind change. Like I ask her now and she's like, no, it's good to like be in good form and build strength and like be strong. Like her mindset has totally changed from when she came here and was like, why are you building so much muscle? This isn't good, and like this isn't traditional. So it's been cool to see like that generational like healing almost.
Oh, that's cute. She saw the benefit. I love it. And the videos are even better. I know we keep promoting your social media and everything that, but I just loved it. Like it was like it melted my heart. Like I was just watching, I'm like, oh my God. And then she got better too, because you did a video of before and after too. Just like her like mobility just got so much better. And if we can encourage that, so that I want my mom to like be able to pick her little grandson like for like years and years. So she needs to, pick up the muscles, because they're not as active as they were, and not doing as much as they were when we were younger. So I love that.
I was just gonna say, and like it does speak to our privilege, like our generation's privilege, because we are not concerned about like, an immediate threat of war or,
True.
A Great Depression where we are barely eating bread, or, you know what I mean? Like these, our elders went through, a lot more traumatic, socioeconomic stuff that we fortunately haven't. But that just wasn't their focus, was to like take care of yourself and, do something for you that makes you happy. So what a great gift that you've given to your grandmother, Abuela, right? Is that
yeah.
right?
Abuela is like grandma in Spanish. Yeah.
Love
that's
that.
so cute.
Love that.
Abuela.
Protect that woman. Oh my gosh.
Seriously.
This hour has flown by, but there's still so much I want to get to. So before we get to your podcast, really unique situation for you, Nat. Tell us about your university experience.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because like talking to people now who had like a traditional college or college sports experience, I had like FOMO about that for a long time. Like I actually, like when I stopped, like when I retired from the national team program, I was like, do I like, maybe I'm going to go back to traditional school? Like, I just felt like there was something I missed out on, but I realized like, you know, in life, you can't do like live a million lives at the same time. So you kind of choose your path.
Stick
right?
with the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically like the agreement was with my parents. So before it was actually like, the year between high school and like university that I got onto the junior national team because snowboarding, it was actually that summer that slopestyle snowboarding got announced as an Olympic event for the next Olympics. So they like formulated the team that summer. But my plan was to like, just like pursue being a pro snowboarder, like move out west. And then of course it kind of shifted. All of a sudden I had to hire a coach and do all these things when I got onto the team and like, you know, pursue competing. But my parents were like, whatever you do, like you have to agree that you're going to like do a degree. So that was like really important to them. And I was at the time, I was like, oh, why? Like I just want to snowboard. I don't want to do this. But I was also like, I've always been really passionate about business. So I knew if I went to school, it would be for business. But at the time, like already learning from my dad, different things with business, especially like as an athlete, like I was like 15 trying to like get sponsors and figure that out.
Right.
But like I was already like learning a lot. So I just really didn't want to do the school. But yeah, they convinced me. And so, yeah, I did my university online throughout my like snowboarding career. And then like afterwards, I was able to like take more classes and catch up because I was really only taking like a few courses at a time. It was so hectic. Like I remember being on trips and like when I finished riding, I'd then be at the Starbucks until it closed, just like writing an essay, like trying to submit something. And I just always felt like now I'm missing out on like what my teammates are doing and they're just relaxing and I'm like constantly having to do school. But then when I was injured, it was like really good because then I had like something to focus on, right?
Yeah.
So I could take extra classes during that time. So yeah, basically just the online school life, like what everyone did throughout the pandemic was basically what I had to do, you know, throughout my snowboard career and then afterwards. And then, yeah, I finished with my business degree and yeah, pretty much that's it.
You're ahead of the time.
Seriously. Business degree.
I got the online knowledge.
That's good. So you got business degree, you got your personal trainer, whatever type of thing.
It's probably expired now. I even did like a CrossFit training one, not even to coach either. Just like I'm just interested, so I just like take courses.
You just keep learning. I love it. Let's like give me more. I want to know. I want to try. I want to.
Yeah, I do. Like
I love that attitude.
Just a sponge for knowledge. Okay, and then tell us about your podcast, the All In podcast. You know, take us through when it started, what inspires it, and what our listeners can expect when they tune in, because they will tune in.
Yeah, I did a few episodes like way back, like I don't know, probably like 2017 or something, and then like put it on pause because I was doing too many things, trying to do too many things at the same time. And then when the pandemic started, all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, we all have so much time. And it was actually my friend Lori. I realized like all my friends would be home from competing. So I was like, let's do an Instagram live. So I think it was like the first week of the pandemic, her and I did a live, which I feel bad that I didn't record because I decided the week after to like turn it into the podcast. But so that one I missed out on, sadly. I'll have to get her back on or something. But we did like a live, like people seemed to like tune in and enjoy it. Obviously everyone was home, so everyone was doing the Instagram lives, I think, throughout that whole summer. And so I continued it. I did like every Thursday at like 5 p.m., like a Instagram live with just different people. And then it started like kind of taking off and like people I had like never met before wanted to come on. And so I got to meet like a lot of really cool people. And then I would just record the live episodes and put them onto the podcast. So like that brought it back. And it was just really cool. Like just talking about different things like from mindset and mental health and like, you know, what people were doing throughout the pandemic as athletes and as coaches and things like that. And then, it just, as things started picking up and being like back to normal, then I started like really focusing on it as the podcast, like recording on Zoom and different things like that rather than the lives. lives are pretty hard to keep up with too. Like it's like stressful. You're like preparing for like a live show every week and making sure like you can't be like snowboarding that day or like whatever. So it was obviously a lot easier to transition it, but we try to focus on like just talking about the different topics, same things that I do like on my social media, like whether that's bringing on some of like my different female athlete friends and talking about body image issues and mental health stuff in sports, or bringing on like sports psychologists even and talk about the mental aspect and things like that. So just things that I'm interested in, topics I'm interested in. I'm like, oh yeah, I just want to have this person on because I like to pick their brain, and then I just want to share the conversation.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's kind of what we do, I guess. We'd like to pick your brain and get you out there.
Yeah. I think we do that, Kax.
Yeah, I think we do. Right?
And of course, we couldn't go without mentioning that you ran a marathon last year.
Yeah.
Last year? Was that last year? Yeah, last year.
Last
and
year
tell
already.
the listeners what you listened to when you were training.
Oh yeah, I listened to your guys' podcast.
So basically what you're saying is Kax and I have run a marathon.
Exactly.
We did. We were part of your journey, man.
You were. I think I listened to a ton of your episodes the day that I did like my longest run before the marathon. It was like, I think it was like 33K. I just was like catching up on a bunch of episodes. And I think the day I did a half marathon, I'm pretty sure it was at the same time that there was a rivalry series game or something.
Nice.
So I think I had it in my ears too. I was like trying to keep up with things.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for being such a dedicated listener of our show. And yeah, definitely to our listeners, go check out the All In podcast. Nat, what's up next for you? Like, I feel like I've learned so much in this last hour and a bit.
Seriously.
Like, you juggle so many things and you do it all like just so chill and seamlessly. At least that's how it comes across.
Not always so chill or seamlessly.
What do you have next for the summer and for next year?
Yeah, I think like a more chill summer actually. Like, this year was really weird because in previous years, like even during like the Open or stuff, I wasn't really snowboarding. I was like, hey, I got to focus on CrossFit. And then the past few years, I've been injured, so I feel like I spent like 3 years just like so hyper focused on like getting my shoulder back that I was like, okay, so like I took last week as a break because I realized I was like, okay, let me take like 1 week off. That might be nice after like this whole like 3 years of pushing to get my shoulder back. And then all of a sudden, like I got back into competing in snowboarding. So I was like, I was doing both at the same time. Like it was in the middle of the Open that I had that competition. So like some of my training partners were like, what are you doing? Like you could hurt yourself at this, like for this. And I was like, hey, yeah, but they both matter to me. So now I think it just, I think take the summer, chill. I hope to travel around. Like I hope to like go to, like, I would love to go to like some NWSL games. Definitely. I'm going to go to the WNBA Toronto game.
Yes.
That's going to be sweet.
I'll be there too, Nat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can be there too.
Well, hopefully we'll link up at Worlds a week or so too. Yeah, so I hope to just do like more of that stuff and like create more content over the summer. Like have fun with some of my friends in different sports. Like do some training content, and then obviously just continue training. Now that my shoulder is better and I can like actually do some volume on it. But then I think like just making decisions for what I want to do next season. Now that I've got like the snowboarding itch back, there's like the Freeride World Tour is like a whole different aspect of snowboarding that I've never like ventured into. But last year I did like a trip out west and really enjoyed it. And I think like, I don't know, it could be something I could have fun doing. Same thing with like, I really enjoyed like doing the rail jam that I did. So we'll see what happens.
Oh,
I'm like
back into the sport. I love it.
We'll see what happens. But I think I would like to like dabble in some competing again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you wanna try something new too this summer, I've started surfing at La Vague in Montreal here.
I tried once, but I failed miserably.
Okay, well, we go in the morning. Manu, I don't know if you've ever met her, but Emmanuelle Blais, Le Vestiaire, she does it too in the morning with her sister and stuff. And if you want to come, Nat, you're more than welcome. We have a bunch of different surfs, and then can give you a new thing for you to try. I think.
So I have a wetsuit. Like my brother got it.
You're equipped.
Christmas.
You're ready.
I'm ready. Like because my brother's really into river surfing. He's really good.
Okay, well bring him
in Ottawa too. You got to come.
Okay, I didn't even know there was one there. But that's
winter. He's been going like he's crazy. He'll go before we go skiing. Like he'll be like, I'll pick you up at 8, but at 7 I'm surfing. I'm like okay.
And something I want to say about that, and then Knoxy, whatever surfing like was the very humbling one. 2, I think that trying new things in life just keeps your brain so like I don't know, but I felt so happy just trying to get to this side of the wave that you need to get to in order to get up and like get to it. And it's just such a, like, you're starting from scratch. Like you're a kid again. You know what I mean? Like you're just starting to skate and you're just like learning little new skills and you've like, so if you can do something new this summer, listeners, Knoxy, I challenge you to do that as well too. Give it a shot and actually like dive into it and then just learn the little steps and be happy about the like teeny tiny little like upgrade that you make you achieve every week. It's so cool and so fun. And Nat, come, we'll do the surf things. And then even if you were, whatever you said bad, I bet you're going to get up before any one of us.
I'm in. I love wake surfing. Like there you go. But it's the timing of getting up. Like surfing on a wave is hard.
It is. It is very much.
Just another challenge to add to your list here, Nat. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show. As Nat mentioned, NWSL, WNBA, March Madness, more women's sports this spring and summer. You can also tune into the 2023 IIHF Women's World Championship, obviously here in the CAA Center in Brampton. I'm going to be there. Sounds like Nat's going to be there. Kax is going to be there. Come on out if you can to the game April 5th to the 16th. All games are covered by TSN, where you can see our previous guest in action, Kenzie Lalonde. She's hosting with Cheryl Pounder, covering all those games. So we've got a great, exciting spring of women's sports. And as you said, I'm pumped for that WNBA game. So look forward to seeing you there. Yeah. And, maybe the three of us could get together and have a cold beverage of some sort.
We should. Yeah. And then also we'll keep following the CrossFit games too as they go. I mean, it's not there yet, but the semis, and then keep on cheering on Carolyn and Freya, and then more female athletes out there too.
And we can't close out the show without Nat. Obviously, plug your social media handles.
Yes.
Well, it's just my name at Natalie Allport. I think across everything.
If you Natalie without an H, guys, Natalie and an Allport together. So
I always think that's so funny when I email people like who are French, because I'll write my name how it's spelled, and they will always change it back no matter how long I know.
I had to look twice. I'm pretty sure I did say Natalie with an H, and then I switched it. I'm like, no, Natalie. I like it. I love it. This is perfect.
They always change it. I'm like, okay, like I guess my name is just different in Quebec. That's fine.
It is. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks again, Nat. It was a pleasure having you. And we look forward to seeing the great content that you create. Tune in next week to Knoxy and Kax here on SDPN. That's all we got for you today. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
The Knoxy and Kax Show on SDPN, produced in partnership with the PWHPA and presented by Sports Interaction.
Want to bet?
Follow Knoxy and Kax on Twitter at 27Knoxy and at Karell Mard. The views expressed are those of the individuals and are not necessarily those of the PWHPA. Check out sdpn.ca for more Knoxy and Kax and the rest of the SDPN crew.
She scores!